Hey everyone, today we have a Toro that it just is bad. So let's explain why. As you can tell, there's a handlebar on it and some packages. Now those are what we're going to be doing to it instead of what it has. It's hard to explain. So this does not have a clutch. Now let's remember that. This is just a normal, there's no clutch, there's no nothing. This deck is a rear wheel drive, or rear self-propel I should say, and over here we have a bar. Obviously it's not the same color, and if you look at it, that is not even the right one for this machine. Now if you look down over here, you can tell that that has been funkeried. So there's just a whole lot of wrong on here. But over here, you know, on this type of machine, this is what you have. You should have a handle or a bail for turning the engine on and leaving it on, and then also one at the bottom for this is self-propel. Now here's the problem with this. Ugh. Here's the problem with this. This one with the handle that we are having currently, it's meant to have a clutch like that. It only has one bail. That bail is then meant to basically just control the clutch. So you turn on the engine, let it run, you turn off the engine by the throttle, and that's the end of it. We do not have that, so obviously that's the wrong one. So this is off of a different one. So what we need to do is we need to replace this handle and this bar with the correct one and install the new cables. And I'm sure we have carb issues as well. But as it stands right now, when you pull on the bail, the wheels are turning, well, potentially, and there's no way to turn this off. So it's dangerous on top of that. So we need to take care of that first. So I'm going to take this off, take the bag off, and then give us a little extra working room. With the bag off, we can see what we have a little easier. So we have throttle going down and controlling the throttle. We also have a broken pull cord, so I'm going to have to fix that. Like I said, the handles are completely different and wrong. The kill wire is actually fed through here, and it's connected to the same, let me show you, bail handle as the other drive cable. So when you pull on it, both of them are being engaged, assuming that cable even would have worked, which it's obviously been bypassed. So like I said, there's a whole lot of wrong here. Handle even kind of looks like it's a little broken, but we'll take care of that later. So I'm gonna take off the cable. Probably gonna snip that one off. I have a new throttle cable, just take that one off. The self-propel cables though, I'm gonna have to, I'll probably bring it back and take off this cover, and we'll go ahead and see what we have down there. So this is a machine that I would consider someone trying to get a deal on garbage. I say that because it's rough. I mean, it's rusted. Obviously it's been fooled with. The amount of times I'm saying to myself, what is going on here is pretty astounding. I just looked over and one of the wheels is literally being held on by wire. wouldn't be surprised that his belt was broken. It's not broken, but it's also doesn't look too healthy. Okay, so that one's a little bit different than the cable I think I have, but let us take a look. One of the reasons why you should never use this type of wire is because it gets very rusty, and when you try to take it off, you can hurt yourself. And a quick repair has then cost you a hospital visit. So I'm going to put on some gloves and take that off, kind of give us some room to work in this wiring. I also vacuumed it a little bit. It's just way too dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now we have that done. There's a 7/16 right here. I'm just going to finish taking out with my hand. But that is going to allow us to take this little bracket off, which then in turn is going to let us take this off, because we don't want that cable anymore. Now technically we want this hole, but this spring is supposed to fit in there, excuse me, in there, but it's too big, so we need to cut a slot. We need to cut a slot in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a slot so we can get it installed and then put the cable on. There's a whole lot of what's going on over here happening over here. Like, this is also just wired on. I trimmed one of them off already. I don't know where the other one is or what exactly is going on here. After seeing this a little bit more thoroughly, because to be honest, when I got it, I thought it was going to be a little different than a whole bunch of wire everywhere besides what we originally saw. I asked the person, like, where did you get this and did you do this? They said that they got it off the internet from a guy who said that he used it every day when he did lawns, and they thought that this could be a good cheap way of getting a commercial lawnmower. Well, it's definitely a way, not a good way. How is that one going to come out? Let me do a little thinking. Well, the definition of annoying. So, well, not annoying. What I want to do is actually do this semi-appropriately, but seeing with the type of transmission that's in here, I don't suspect that that's going to happen with the parts that I have. So I call up the guy, I'm like, hey, can't really do it, I need to order a bunch of parts. It's like, how much is that going to be? I give him a rough total of a handle, the correct cable, everything, because I can return all the stuff I have, because I assumed it was the same as the previous type that I have many videos on. It's not. It's completely different. So I told him, like, well, we can do this. I can make it less janky, but still janky, but functional and not dangerous. And he said, that's fine. I'm like, what level of jankiness are you acceptable with? He's like, as long as it runs good, it doesn't have any weird problems, and it's safe. I mean, he has kids, so what did I do? Welded a washer on the back of that, or the front technically, because the small hole down here, one, is too small or too big, and it's going to hit this post. Now, as you can tell, there's this that was originally there to kind of go into fast and neutral. I have it permanently set to fast, but we ran into another problem. This is the hook that the old cable used to fit on, well, it's not going to now. The other one has a different style. So I drilled a small hole, took it off the mount. So now this cable should fit. So let me plug it back in and then we will look at it. Almost every cable's installed. Make one of these. Whoa there. That's the end of the throttle. Out of not wanting to burn myself down, you get one of these Oregon Z benders and you just kind of bend a Z in there. So that's what I did. You get a red hot and then it continues on. I personally don't really like the big Z that it makes, but maybe I'm just not doing it wrong. All right, I don't know. So I put the other cable on and everything should be ready, but there's a story behind that. So whatever direction on your throttle that pulls it all the way down, you want to start at that direction. At least that's how I like to. This cannot go any further this direction. And then you tighten. I like doing it on the actual metal piece, but you don't have to. If your cable won't allow you to, it's fine. Now if you pull on it, it should move it. Mine might need to be a little lubricated, but it should be doing okay. So like I said, there's a story. Now, while I tell you the story, I'm going to put fuel in it. Now, I've already cleaned the carb. I'm not going to really show that. Actually, I'm going to double check why there's that random wire right there first. On that back wheel right there, I saw this. It was going underneath I was worried it was going to be caught in the blade, but it wasn't. So it actually just caught in the drive. I think we found out what happened to the original kill. Anyway, so let's go back to my story. I originally was working on this, and then I discovered that I had ordered a 58-inch kill wire, which is this one. 58 inches would be perfect for this machine because it allows the bag to go on, which we'll put on right now to just prove. Let's get a zip tie. Well, before we do that, let's get a couple zip ties, why don't we? Anyway, but when I got it, there was only, and probably a snip, it was only like 38 or 42 or something like that. It was really small. I didn't catch it until right when it was towards the end. So I double checked, because you know, sometimes you think you ordered something and it was the right one, but in reality it wasn't, and maybe I just messed up, or I don't know. So I then double checked. No, I was right. I did order the correct cable. I just received the wrong cable. So I then contacted, got everything figured out, and got a 58-inch cable sent that day. Well, you know, I needed to do something because it was my day off. I had allocated at least a good another 2 hours of my day to work on projects. So I decided to do a different project for a buddy of mine, and on that project it was going to require some some general metal work, and that's something I don't usually put on here, so I didn't want to worry about it. I had to tighten down that little cover, so I didn't want to worry about it, and I didn't want to film. Well, somehow I had completely tore up This cable needs to run the other side. My arm. The arm that you see me using right now, which I probably shouldn't be. I'll have to reroute that. To the point where I actually had to stop for the day. Okay, there we go. Everything seems to be good now. Anyway, so I had to stop for the day, which was okay because, you know, I had to order the part, and, you know, when you hear a pop in your arm, your elbow, more specifically, becomes very numb, tingly, and you kind of question if you broke it because you're pulling on it so hard. It kind of concerns you. So I went to the doctor the next day and discovered, luckily I do not have a break, but I definitely did tear my bicep. Luckily it was not at the tendon, like the tendon wasn't disconnected from the bone. So I avoided a fairly large catastrophe with that one. So here we are. I'm supposed to be on light duty, so if you see my left arm becoming a little dull, that's why. And that's also why I didn't really film a lot of the cables, because just cables, and that's pretty self-explanatory. I did film actually fitting the cable, so that's what is important. The good thing is I put the cable on for the self-propel, I put the cable on for the throttle, which you saw, I put the cable on for the kill, which everyone knows how to do, I hope. Just right here, just fits onto the handle. So technically it should be ready. Now there's oil in it, it's bad, but there's oil. Theoretically we should be ready. Let's see if it starts. Now I did clean the carb. I didn't check it though because I'm just now putting gas in there. So hopefully it's okay. But let's give this a pull. Oh, let me explain something to you. Starting with these with the bum left arm is not the easiest thing in the world. Got a little something. Okay, well there you have it. So what we originally started off with was a improper handle because, let me grab it. It was meant for a system with a clutch. So there's, like I said, there's only one handle. Now on that handle, when you press on it, technically that was supposed to be for the blade engage. What it was doing was engaging the kill as well as the self-propel. I do believe it also for this would engage the self-propel too. So it was rigged, to say the least. This is not the right one. Not that I'm saying this is the right one, because it's not, obviously, but it does work. The wheels work, the drive cable works, well, the drive works. The throttle, it adjusted a little bit. Cables seem to be okay. They're not really causing too much of a problem. Potentially this one could be tied down a little bit more. But other than that, that's really about it. So we have completely changed a handle bar from the improper one to also the improper one, but more correct. At least this is off of the Toro type it should be. But like I said, we did have to do a little modification to that plate. Now, that plate does come like that on other models, so it's not like we completely made like a Frankenstein's monster over here. We just made it fit the cable that we did. So granted, I doubt this is going to help anyone. Hopefully it's just knowledge for you. But let's say you run into this. If you can get generally the right type of handles, you can put anything on, and generally the cables, this is the thing about cables. I don't know if anyone else does this, but here's what I end up doing. This is not my neighbors, but they do live close, like maybe 2 minutes away. But they are relatives of neighbors maybe 3 or 4 houses away. So I see these people very routinely, and when I told them about this, they knew there was a lot of weird going on. It's not like they were completely oblivious to it. But when I told them, I said, well, I can get it running the way it should be, not necessarily the 100% the right way, but it will at least be doing it pretty decently, so you should be able to get a job done without any type of problems, and that's generally how it should be for this style of mower. The only thing is, if I'm going to be buying those exact parts for everything else, it's going to be fairly expensive. Or I can get the generic parts and get the job done a lot quicker and a lot cheaper. What would you prefer? Well, they preferred the generic, cheaper way. Let me explain. If you go to e-replacement parts or whatever, find a diagram for this, you're going to find a cable. That would be the kill cable made by Toro, and it's probably going to be like $20-something. You're also going to have to find one of these. That throttle's wrong, but it is just a throttle. It just literally moves the throttle back and forth. And to be honest, do you really need a throttle on this style of mower? No, you don't. The only reason why this even had a throttle to begin with is because the other handle, and to me it doesn't really matter. But putting that aside, you just get the generic Toro ones. In fact, this is made by, I believe, Stens. It fits. That's for the propel cable. The kill cable, if you just measure, like I just take a measuring tape, I need to clean it, measure from there to roughly about here to roughly about there. Probably would be helpful if you see this, huh? Roughly there, and then up there. And I get a rough estimate. I think I came up with 60 inches. And when thinking about it, I was pretty linear, and it's going to curve a little bit, but knowing everything, I found that was pretty okay. So I found one that's at 58 inches. The stick out was right. It seemed to be okay. It said it also fit another Toro, but it was the generic type, so I got that one. The throttle literally was, I typed in lawnmower throttle, and that's what I got. I just need to make sure that you can see the red handle right there. Red for Toro, of course. I just need to make sure I can install it, which any of those you really can. So anyone with basic knowledge of just general stuff like that, as well as the general ability to kind of modify a few things, you can save a decent amount of money. I equated it out because I looked it up after realizing the cable is wrong. To get this 100% right is probably closer to $180. So far, I think the throttle is $9, the self-propel cable is $10, the kill cable was $10, so it's $29. I have a washer, let's say that's $1, that's $30, some paint, a little gas, filter, fuel, oil. Probably total I have like $36, $38 into this. That's a whole lot cheaper, and that original price I told you didn't even include the tune-up. So, you know, it's significantly higher. So I felt that that was probably more appropriate, and considering that what this is, spending $180 is just not going to be right. I mean, it's why would you? So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, there's a whole lot of janky going on here, but at the same time, it's the best thing for this mower. I know I criticized the people before for doing it the wrong way, and this is not the right way, but this is the right way, if that makes any sense. It's not dangerous. It's going to kill if you let go of it. It's going to work appropriately. It's just not how it should be. It's not how it's designed, but it is allowing it to work the way it was designed with minimal to modification. Literally the only thing that was on here that majority of people can't do, assuming that you don't have general tools, was perhaps welding the nut on the little plate back there. That's it. But I mean, if you don't have a welder, okay, maybe you